Main shaft assembling procedure. Fix the main shaft onto the clamping device, flange end upwards. Lubricate the second gear needle roller bearing and fix it on the main shaft. Insert the second gear onto the main shaft. Check for excessive wear and tear, pitting marks, cracks, damages, bend or any other defects. If found any, replace the component. Insert the drive gear chamfer teeth to face the output flange side to mesh with the sliding sleeve. Install second gear synchronizer pack with synchronizer inner cone, ring and outer cone. White collar of the synchronizer hub must face towards the output flange side. Install the synchronizer hub. Install circlip using circlip plier. Groove on the sliding sleeve must face the output flange side. The straight tooth on the sliding sleeve must match on the 3 rectangular notches in the synchronizer hub. Install sliding sleeve. Ensure sliding sleeve is fitted in the right position. Insert thrust pieces and compression springs into the slot at synchronizer hub. Position the sliding sleeve such that springs and thrust pieces properly seated and locked. Install first gear synchronizer pack, outer cone, ring, synchronizer inner cone. Install the first gear drive wheel. Tapered teeth should be facing the input shaft side in order to engage with the sliding sleeve. Install first gear drive wheel and needle roller bearing facing the input shaft side. Install reverse gear synchronizer hub. Machining surface of the synchronizer hub to face the first gear side so that the tapered surface of the drive wheel will face the reverse gear side. Install the circlip using suitable circlip plier. Install reverse gear wheel and needle roller bearing. The sliding sleeve on the reverse gear wheel should face the output flange side. Tilt the main shaft assembly and fix it upside down. Input shaft facing upwards. Install the needle roller bearing. Install third gear wheel. Check for excessive wear and tear, pitting marks, cracks, damages, bend or any other defects. If found any, replace the component. Install third gear synchronizer pack consisting of synchronizer outer cone, ring and inner cone. Install third and fourth synchronizer hub with white collar width facing input shaft side. Fit the circlip using suitable circlip plier. Groove on the sliding sleeve must face the output flange side. The straight tooth on the sliding sleeve must match on the 3 rectangular notches in the synchronizer hub. Insert synchronizer sliding sleeve. Insert thrust pieces and compression springs into the slot at synchronizer hub. Position the sliding sleeve such that springs and thrust pieces properly seated. Insert fourth gear synchronizer pack. Synchronizer outer cone, ring and inner cone. Install needle roller bearing and fourth gear wheel with drive wheel facing the output flange side. Heat thrust washer up to 100 degrees centigrade using induction heater and install it. Ground side of the truss plate must face the fourth gear wheel. Install circlip using suitable circlip plier. Move the third and fourth sliding sleeve to neutral position. Install the sixth gear wheel with needle roller bearing, the drive wheel on the gear to face the input shaft side. Install sixth gear synchronizer pack, cone, ring and synchronizer hub. High collar of the synchronizer hub must face the output flange side. Install circlip using suitable circlip plier. Install sliding sleeve. This can be fitted in any position. Insert thrust pieces and compression springs into the slot at synchronizer hub. Position the sliding sleeve such that springs and thrust pieces properly seated. Fix the assembled main shaft onto the special tool mounting plate. Fix the counter shaft onto the special tool mounting plate. Slide it together. Fix the shift rail and fork on each sliding sleeve. Fix the special tool bracket shift rails to the mounting plate of the transmission. This will help for guiding the shift rails during the assembly. Fix the reverse idler gear in offset position along with the needle roller bearing. Heat the main shaft rear end bearing inner race to 100 degrees centigrade by using hot air gun and then mount the transmission housing. Install reverse idler gear shaft using mallet. Install pulse wheel of speed sensor. Install new oil seal using special tool drift. Install companion flange washer and tighten the bolt using special tool retainer wrench companion flange with 24 mm hexagonal socket and torque wrench. Set torque to 275 Nm. Tilt the transmission rear housing assembly upside down and fix it onto the special tool transmission mounting bracket and transmission repair trolley with the help of suitable rope and crane. Install the detent bolts onto the housing in order to fix the rails in its position. Insert thrust pieces and compression springs into the slot at synchronizer hub. Position the sliding sleeve such that springs and thrust pieces properly seated. Align 5th and 6th gears shift collar in its position by applying small amount of grease in the rail slot. Lubricate the synchronizer 5th gear, ring and cone and then install it on the main shaft. Rotate the transmission counter shaft for the proper seating. Front housing installation. Apply the sealant onto the transmission rear housing assembly 2 to 3 mm thickness bead. Place the appropriate shim on the main shaft. Install the transmission input shaft pilot bearing. Install the transmission front housing. If required, align the shift rails in order to guide the rails inside the front section. Tighten the bolts using 14 mm hexagonal socket and torque wrench to 60 Nm. Install pivot pin and bolt of 5th and 6th fork and tighten the pivot bolt using T60 socket and torque wrench. Set torque to 110 Nm. Install end cover of shift rails and tighten the bolts using E12 socket and torque wrench. Set torque to 30 Nm. Tighten the detent bolts, locking the shift rail using 18 mm hexagonal socket and torque wrench. Set to 30 Nm. Heat the countershaft ball bearing to 100 degrees centigrade using induction heater and install to the front section transmission housing. Gently tap the bearing using suitable drift and mallet for proper seating. Fit circlips using circlip pliers without any play. Install new countershaft cover at the transmission housing using special tool drift countershaft end cover in transmission housing. Insert countershaft lock ring to the countershaft using circlip pliers. Install countershaft rear end snap ring with suitable tool. Install spacer ring to the countershaft at the rear housing. Lubricate the countershaft rear side. Install PTO end cover onto the rear housing by applying the sealant and tighten the bolts using E14 socket and torque wrench to 40 Nm. Shift mechanism assembly installation procedure. Install tensioning bolt in the pressure pin and insert bearing sleeve, bearing bush, inner thrust pad. Position 4 balls at 90 degree to each other and install the detent bushing and ensure the grooves of the detent bushing are positioned exactly over the balls. Install inner spring, guide sleeve, inner snap ring, outer spring, detent bush, snap ring. Insert it into shift tube. Apply quick action adhesive. Tighten the tensioning bolt to 100 Nm torque. Install shift shaft sealing ring into the shift housing using special tool Drift Shift Housing Oil Seal Installer. Press and install the locking pawl on the gear shift tube. Insert the shift housing into the shift shaft and install the cap. Put a mark on the long groove on the shift shaft shift lever. Align the marks on both the shift shaft and the lever. Install shift lever to the shift shaft and tighten the combi screw using E14 socket and torque wrench. Set torque to 70 Nm. Apply Loctite 5203 film thickness to the shift mechanism seating surface. Align the grub screw hole with the help of a suitable screwdriver. Install shift mechanism. Ensure the position of dog teeth and locking pawl is aligned. Install new grub screw to the shift assembly using suitable Allen key and torque wrench to 30 Nm. Coated with quick action adhesive and install cap with mallet. Tighten the shift housing shaft bolts using E12 socket and ratchet to 30 Nm torque. Install clutch release bearing sleeve using E10 socket and ratchet to 30 Nm torque. Install clutch release fork to transmission housing and tighten the bolts using E14 socket and torque wrench to 60 Nm and install clutch release bearing to transmission input shaft. Install neutral position sensor along with double pin. Install reverse sensor. Install output sensor. Install speed sensor using 27 mm ring spanner